Hey, Ben.
How are you?
I've been considering that the last 15 minutes after getting off the call with Ben or with Cody.
Tell me more.
It just, I think my neural pathway, just using his
Yeah,
terminology, is that I say I'm out of time or I don't have time, that my life is crazy, that I'm busy, that I don't have time to do a lot of things that I want to do or feel that I should be doing, and so. Um, I talk about it a lot with Putty, and it's just crazy is normal. So I allow myself to say that crazy is normal.
sure.
Um, it's a matter of it's going to take some reflection to say what do I want normal to look like,
Sure. Absolutely.
because I'm a little tired of the crazy.
Yeah. So
And
what
that
does that take?
I don't know. Maybe that's the scary part. It just there's I sorry, let me mute that. Um, I say yes to a lot of things, and I have three kids and
Sure.
a working wife, and so I volunteer a lot of places as well. So um, I was just thinking about it. I'm volunteering at least probably 15 to 20 hours a week
Wow.
on average, um, and so just through my kids' school and Boy Scouts and a couple other things. So um, I'm saying yes to those,
Sure.
which of course is limit. Uh, you know, it doesn't limit my
Sure.
other time. There's everything else that goes with that. So
Love it. So figuring out what the things to keep saying yes to and what to start saying no to.
yeah,
What's contributing to the crazy?
well, me for sure.
Yeah. No, but
Uh,
it's doing an assessment of what do I have to start paring back to be able to stay in my lane.
yeah, well, my wife, it's one of those. My wife is a full-time employee, and so she comes home at 5:30, and she's like, "Well, what have you been doing today?" Or why, where's dinner? Or hey, can you stop and get this? Or hey, you've got to get the kids from the bus. So I do a lot, um, taking care of the kids, which are
Sure.
important to me. My kids are a little bit older. I mean, we're 8, 12, and 16.
Okay.
So a little spread there. My son is driving and gets himself to school and to work and back, which is a huge help.
Oh yeah.
Um, so and we just had a pool put in.
Cool.
Just finished on Tuesday, um, like just put in.
Wow.
Um, so there's just, and then we purchased new construction about a year and a half ago, and we actually had the painters out this morning to finish touch up. So there's been fix this and fix that, and
Sure.
somebody just ran into my new car last week. So it's
Sweet.
just, yeah, they wouldn't hit my old van, but now that I got a new car, they'll hit that now. There's just life happens
Sure.
for sure, and it's um,
So how do you balance and juggle that because you're also putting up big numbers. So what's that looking like?
um, it's late at night. It's um, it's really, if you've been watching my numbers, it's not making my contacts like I should be.
Okay.
Um, uh, so it kind of, like Putty keeps saying, well, what if you were hitting your contact numbers?
Sure.
Then what would it look like on top of that?
Sure.
Um, I have a big sphere and a lot of people that I know and know, like, and trust.
Sure.
So I get that's a lot of my business is just referrals and talking with, just getting calls from or talking to people I know.
Sure.
Um,
How leveraged are you?
I lean into Emily does a fantastic job.
For sure.
I still, I'm going on all my inspections. Have one this afternoon. My territory that I work in is fairly large. So like the one this afternoon, it's almost an hour away in
Wow.
Yuba City.
Sure.
Um, so I spend a lot of time in the car
Yeah.
driving. Um, and I mean, I think we all do.
Sure.
Um, and I'm still stuck on some old school things. I put up my own signs,
Mm.
um, which should be leveraged.
Interesting. Okay.
A lot of my locations I was servicing are outside of the normal range
Okay.
of the sign company. So for me, the last 3.5 years, it was like, well, why pay somebody $80 to go put up a post, and then I'm going to have to pay them another 20 or another 40 when I could just spend 80 on the post. I'm going to put the sign up anyway. Now I own the sign. Usually I'm tying it with, when I put up the sign or do flyers or things like that.
Sure.
So I know that can be leveraged at a higher level as well.
Sure.
I guess if I'm not paying for it, then, or it's part of what I am putting into the team to cover that.
Right. Well, at the same time, think of what you can do with that time. I mean, you spend $80 on a sign, but you get rid of, let's call it an hour each way, so a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
Plus how much time you're there, 15 to 30 minutes probably. You just bought back 2.5 hours for $80.
Yeah. Which is, and it's probably one of those I'm probably doing too many of those little things.
Sure.
That if I sat down and said, if I wasn't doing that, if I saved an hour here, if I saved 2 hours there.
Even if you didn't do any other business or spend any more time in the business, what if you just bought back that time for you?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like it doesn't. It's not. This exercise isn't necessarily about how to get you into the activities more, because you're obviously doing the activities. But what if it just spent time for you, or time for you and your family, or time for you and your wife, or whatever that looks like? What if it was just your time instead of just more stuff?
Yeah, yeah. Which that's where I'd like to be. Yet I haven't been intentional about making a plan, or what does that look like and how do I get there.
Got it. Okay. So what would it look like if intentionality showed up? What would the first step be?
I would take more time for myself, or I would set some time to have a few minutes each day for myself. Feels like I wake up to get the kids to school and then rush to do this and rush to do that, and rarely take care of myself physically, doing either
Sure.
physically doing activity or eating right, things like that. So
Sure. So what's the first thing you could do that would have the biggest impact there? Because it's not going to be 0 to 100 miles an hour. None of us get just do one thing and it happens. But if you're going to take the first step towards that,
yeah,
in your world, what does that look like?
I'm thinking.
I see the wheels turning.
I shouldn't be thinking limitation. I stay up later in the evenings because that's the time I get with my wife after getting the kids to bed, or I'm doing CMAs or doing research. So I'm always that language, right? I am typically almost always rushed every single morning, and I'm already behind.
Okay.
I feel that. So
how do we change that? Because you change that, it changes everything else behind it, right?
it could change if I, well, then I'd have,
Keep going. Keep
because
going.
I've talked with Putty about this before, and so it might just be that I'm not very coachable.
I
You
don't
can
buy
ask
that.
about that, but uh, if I was up earlier in the morning, so I had some time to plan or prepare or plan out what my day looked like, and then walked into my day knowing what I was going to be doing, or even at that point having had some time for myself to read or to just think and have some clarity, that would certainly set up every day to be much more effective.
Sure. That's like what Cody said on the call today. It's not that we don't have time, and I know you heard this because I heard it too. It hit me right here too. It's not
Yeah,
that we don't have time. It's that it's just not that important to us. So is that, and there's no judgment if it's not, but is that important?
yeah. And I mean, just life as I would say as a dad or just as a parent, you give everything to everyone else.
Of course, because that's who you are. Yeah.
Because that's who I am, and that is important to me. Yet as a trade-off, if I'm not giving to myself, it's the whole, Stephen Covey, sharpening the saw.
Yep.
I'm very familiar with all that. If you're not, I can go so long, and then I break down.
Correct. You hit a wall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And about 10:40 when Cody was talking.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always direct and straight to the point. So,
absolutely.
And just talking through it again, that would really change my day.
So what if it didn't have to be in the morning? What if you did the night before? Could it accomplish the same thing?
It could. I think the challenge at night is there's still other demands, or my wife saying, "Hey, are you going to come watch a movie with me?" Or, "I haven't seen you all day. I haven't seen you all week. Are you
Sure.
going to seriously sit and work more?"
Sure. So it's the time no one else competes for.
I think that would be a time that no one else would compete for.
Got it. So
Because
how
at
much?
night there's still too many other things that are distractions.
Okay. So how much time do you need? Like if you were thinking about if we're starting,
Yeah.
you're not talking about a 4-hour meditation. We're talking realistically. What realistically do we need and can we commit to?
Yeah, we're talking like 30 minutes.
Easy peasy.
Which is, yeah.
Now, what has to happen to be able to make that 30 minutes happen every morning?
I think that's, one, it's a 66-day challenge of just creating the habit of doing that. And the reverse side, obviously, is if I need to wake up earlier. And Cody's mentioned this time and time again in the past. It was like, "Hey, stupid, if you can't wake up earlier, why don't you go to sleep earlier and just rotate the time?" I mean, I know he's talked about that, and I'm smart enough. I know how that works. So it's just it's committing to going to sleep a little earlier each night so that I can wake up in the morning and create that habit.
And then what does that opportunity bring?
Well, just peace of mind would be huge, right? I mean, just clarity of I've thought about the day, not, "Oh, gee, I'm already 20 minutes late and I haven't sent my daily commitments to Putty, and I'm just, I just crossed over my deadline, and I'm
right."
Just, it's the whole, I guess, the stop digging.
Well, the huge part is you happen to the day instead of letting the day happen to you. I think that's massive, 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 because it's the feeling I totally get. I'm the same way. If I'm not careful, I slip back into letting the day happen to me, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. By the time you even step out the door, you feel like you're underwater.
Right. And it's like, okay, what inspections, what emails am I supposed to, or have I not followed up with, things like that are all, they're all critical. They're all important, and they're not all important.
They're not all created equally. Yeah.
They're not all created equally. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the most important thing out of that stuff so far? And this is totally not what we're planning to talk about. And I love it because this is real and this is what we should talk about. So that's great.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your time, and I apologize because I think it is off track of what you were looking to get for
It's
your.
authentic. Who cares? Go, lean in, lean in. This is good.
That's me. I'm just authentic and straightforward, and that's what I take to my clients, and that's the way I run my business. Is just all in to my clients that I'm working with. So it's just the time then of being focused with how I'm spending my time. It's really easy to be busy the whole day long without actually doing any lead gen. So, um,
Busy isn't productive, right?
yeah, it's productive or not always productive. So
We're really good, all of
um,
us, at making ourselves look busy, but productive looks totally different, massively
yeah,
different.
yeah, and I think I'm blessed enough with my sphere, and certainly that's not all of what I'm leaning into. That's not all my business.
Sure.
It's most of my business. It's not all of it. That for a long time I kind of coasted just on referrals or someone calling me up saying, "Oh, hey, I need to buy a house." Um,
Sure.
and I've been blessed with that. Obviously, this year, since the beginning of the year, essentially, I have been. I mean, silly, like little things, but just in our 66-day challenges, I gave up playing video games on my phone. Right? I
Did
mean,
it have an impact?
I believe it did.
There you go.
Changed my focus a little bit more to be on other things. I have been spending more time doing lead gen, and I'm
Awesome.
working to build up to really where I think where I would like to be.
So is there a mental block there at all?
I still have a mental block on it. I, I have my own issues. I'm happy to admit
Welcome to the club, my man.
I haven't figured it all out. There are some people, like I've got, there's some FISBO people I've contacted some FISBO,
Sure.
and like there's one guy I'm 2.5 years into following up with him, just being ready, like trying to be there and be ready for him when he's ready to go. Yet there's other times where it's, well, for the majority of the other time, it's like, well, I don't want to call FISBOs. Or, I'll follow up with some sync leads because I've had a conversation, and then other sync leads it's harder to follow up on mentally, I guess, for me, because I've not seen any I haven't been I haven't seen a response.
Sure.
And I know that's the whole consistency. You need to be in front of them 10 to 12 to 15 times so that they're thinking of you when they're ready. So for whatever reason, my mental block still is like, there's a few people I will call, and then there's a lot of people that I for whatever reason, I won't call even when I should be.
Sure. So there's power, and we aren't going to be able to do it on this call. However, there's a lot of power in figuring out what that reason is, because you free that up.
Yeah.
There's no ceiling on it, right? So what's your first thought? Like, no BS, no filter, no telling me what you think I want to hear. Just what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask you this question?
Yeah.
What does it look like, and what happens if you double your business? Consistently every month you double the transaction count that you're doing now. What's the first thing that comes into your head?
Financial freedom is
Okay.
the first thing that I'm thinking. I struggle.
Sure.
We all do.
Yeah.
And so just doubling, would financial freedom, I think would free up a lot of mental angst or, stress
Totally.
that I'm sitting on. And I've talked with Putty a little bit. I know that I would have to be more efficient in various areas.
So that's the benefit. What's the cost?
I would, like, right now I feel like I'm not doing everything that I should be doing on the business that I have. So I guess the fear is if there's twice as much activity, I will miss more or I will fail at more. or just physically not be able to keep up with everything that I need to be doing.
Absolutely right. With every benefit comes a cost. That's a really common thought process, like super common. And now the question that I hate being asked by my coaches, I'm going to ask you because I'm going to share the love. The question is, are there people who are doing it in less time, doing double the business in less time than you're doing right now?
Oh, guaranteed.
So the beauty of that whole thing is like, because it's easy to buy our own lie that, well, I can't get there, or I choose not to go there because it would cause more chaos, or it would take me twice as much time, or whatever the story that little drunk monkey tells us.
Yeah.
There are people that are doing it, and there are people likely inside UHG that are doing it. So the hope is that there's a path forward. We just got to find it. We have to be more leveraged and more disciplined are typically the two answers I've always found as I've wanted to grow as a leader, as a person, as an agent, whatever that looked like. The answer always lied in being more leveraged and more disciplined. That's the answer Gary Keller gives every single time he's asked. It's the answer every coach I have gives the answer every single time. Because Gary says from the stage, if you don't have a maid, you are one. So if you don't have a sign installer, you are the sign installer.
$9 an hour sign installer. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, and I'm just being real here, I'm not throwing rocks, but all of a sudden, subconsciously, what you're telling your family is that $85 is more important to me than 2.5 hours with you. So what happens when we shift that paradigm, and now all of a sudden I'm choosing to invest $85 to buy back 2.5 hours of my life that I get to invest however I choose. It may have nothing to do with real estate.
Yeah.
And for balance purposes, it likely won't, because not all the time you buy back and free up should go back into real estate.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, but when we get real clear, when you make an audit, this is what a coach had me do years ago, on a piece of paper, get real clear with every task I do. So for a week, I just jotted down tasks. Yeah. Within reason. But you know what I'm saying? Like every single task I did, the end of the week, I literally looked back at that list and said, what should I be leveraging that I'm not? And then I figured out how much time that bought back, and it blew my mind when I saw the hour amount that I bought back into my life for realistically not that much.
Yeah.
It's a powerful exercise when you do a self-audit or a life audit of how am I spending my time, because we all have the same amount of time in every single day and every single month and every single year. The people who succeed at a high level have just figured out how to game that system.
Yeah.
And that comes through leverage and discipline, right? It's not, a lot of times people, shy away from the discipline thing too. However, what I can tell you from experience is when you get into the discipline of getting up earlier, instead of being confining, it's freeing, because now all of a sudden you're like a productivity ninja. Like I tell my region, you're a productivity ninja at the end of the day, because you're like looking at your watch at 4 going, I just got more done in a day than I used to get done in a day and a half.
Yeah.
And now I get to choose where to invest the balance of the time. It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah. Very good. Well, I'm taking notes. So if I'm looking, taking notes. So.
It's counterintuitive, I know, but I'm telling you, lean in harder, because this is the decision point. This is the absolute decision point. Lots of agents feel this. This is totally normal.
Yeah.
And I've coached a lot of people who have, and they felt the same way. And what we found is when they leaned in harder, they leaned in, like doubled down on the discipline and wrangling this all back in. All of a sudden it's Gary's hockey stick gradually, and then suddenly their business just takes off even more.
Yeah.
And their total time invested and their quality of life gets even better.
Gets better because you're spending it.
Correct.
Water.
What do most agents pull back? Like, you're redlining a car right now. Your engine is redlining right now. And I know it sounds crazy because I'm telling you to shift up.
Yeah.
But in reality, what happens is by shifting up, it forces you. It doesn't give you an option. Again, like Cody said, it makes it important. It forces you to really look and do an audit of how am I spending my time, and cutting out the stuff that it may be good. To say yes to something great, you have to say no to a lot of good things. But what has to go to keep me in balance and harmony in all the other areas of my life? Because like the one thing, it's not just one part of our life. We're not just real estate agents. There's multiple areas of our life that all have to be at least in counterbalance.
Right.
Shift up, man.
Shift up.
I'm excited for you. I mean, how many pendings did you do last month?
Well, I was probably like 5 or 6.
Okay.
Challenge, one of them was a buyer who got into contract twice because one didn't work. And then one was a listing it's fallen out twice. So we'll just keep pushing on those.
Now, to put this in perspective, What did that look like 6 months ago? What was your average pending 6 months ago?
1 a month.
So you literally have quadrupled your pending ratio. Like, I just want you to see, it's no wonder you're redlining and feeling like my hair's on fire, it's crazy. And you'll get to a point, it's the E to P process, where you're hitting a ceiling right now.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you lean in and shift up. In a year's time, we'll have another conversation. Hold me to that. We'll have another conversation. We'll look back and you'll laugh when you're like, oh my gosh, I thought 4 was my max. I thought 4 to 5 was crazy.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm not doing 10, I feel like I'm slacking. I know it sounds nuts. I guarantee you that'll be the conversation.
Yeah. No, and I look forward to that. I'm ready for it. I want to get there. So that's I get it. That's, you got to lead in and shift.
Embrace the mess, embrace the chaos. Cody tells me that all the time. Embrace the mess. I don't like messes, but he said embrace the mess, because if you didn't have a mess, it means you wouldn't be making any money. You're not doing any business.
Yeah.
This is a messy business. It gets messy.
It is. Well, right now, what I'm really shooting for, what I keep tracking on my numbers, is looking to get to that second tier in the split.
Yep. That accelerated split. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm fairly close to that. I know that my year is up mid end of July, I think. So I'm really trying to.
Absolutely. Well, and it's no different than capping in the market center, right? And that's what it was so interesting when Cody brought that concept to me early in this year, saying, I really want to do this. I want them to cost average more than they would as a mega agent. And that's what blew my mind is we looked, hold on, I'll tell you. I think it's 207. Let's test my memory, man. We looked in the MRA book. You've got your copy handy or not, I don't know, but it's
at my office.
It's page 157. I was way off. Samsonite. 157. It looks like this. And Gary outlines different production levels for agents, right?
Right.
What's interesting about what Cody's doing with its accelerated split program is on that you're going to see that a mega agent, they're shooting for an average of a 42% net income.
Yeah.
42 is like heaven for them. And most of them are not there. Most of them are shooting for, in expansion, they're all shooting for 18%, right? The margins are pretty skinny. And what's amazing about that accelerated program is a lot of these agents who are getting close to it, when they look back, will cost average over 50%. They'll be cost averaging at least 12% more net income over the year than the MREA agent does. Yeah. That's the exciting part. And it's just like capping in the market center. You lean into this and double down and shift up. You slingshot right past that much faster. And every year that gap gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. Yeah. Yeah. So if it's me, that's what I would start tracking is that net average every year, because you watch over the next couple of years, your net average will go up and up and up and up. Yeah. Just like the faster you cap in your market center, the higher your percentage goes. I mean, it's all the same thing. It just allows the partners to put more of that back in their pocket without having any of the expenses, which is huge. So it's leaning in, it's leveraging all of the pieces of UHG. But the biggest thing I want to challenge you on is that time audit. Look at how are you spending your time. Yeah. Kill some of the good things to be able to say yes and pour more into some of the great things. To the great things. Yeah, I've no excuses. Results or reasons, right? Yeah. And you're a results guy, Mark. I know you are. I've got all the terminology down, and it's now we just put it into practice. Yeah. So what is, as we're wrapping up, what does that look like? So what do you commit to do by when? It doesn't have to be like solve the world's problems, but for you and your business and what we're talking about, what do the next steps look like? There you go. You got next week for that. I'll solve that next week. I want to commit to I have to this life audit. I've thought about it before, and have not actually committed to actually doing that for a week's time to just sit. Do you think a week is good, or does it? Week or two? It depends on how regular your weeks are. If you're pretty regimented and your schedule looks the same, then a week. If not, maybe 2 weeks is better. It's well, so we're right. So. It's not excuses. It's not excuses. It's getting to the end of the school year. So there's always a lot more school stuff that comes up. Sure. In getting through
getting wrapped up with events and parties and for the kids and things like
Absolutely.
that. So my next probably 3 or 4 weeks is going to be a little messy. It's fairly consistent though. So I'll try it for a week. I will do it for a week.
There we go.
Won't try. I will do it for a week, and then if I don't feel that that's sufficient, I will do it for a second week.
Love it. And I know Putty's going to have permission to lean in. I'll also ask for permission to check back in with you to make sure, see how it's going.
Yep.
But this is absolutely, I promise you, this is one of those markers in time you'll look back on and go, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I love that somebody hit my car. Yes.
Yes. I have her contact information, so I need to add it to sync. But
sell her a house.
Sell her house, yeah. After she pays for my bumper, then we can talk.
There you go. Then we can figure it out.
Then we can figure it out.
All right, man. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for being authentic and open and honest. Honestly, everything aside, you are rocking it. Lean in harder. Don't let up. Don't push back on it. Lean through it and push through it. And all of a sudden, some amazing thing happens on the other side. It's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I'm signing a 1.4 million listing tomorrow.
Just a 1.4, huh?
Yeah, whatever.
Great job, man.
A call center lead from a call around.
Love it.
Following up with her, and then on Wednesday she's like, the outside is all ready to go. Do you want to come take pictures? And I'm like, well, sure, I'd like to do pictures. Should probably sign a contract that says you want me to do that.
Yeah. That I'm not trespassing when I'm on your property.
I'm not trespassing, and you're not going to shoot me. And the guy doing the drone footage. So
that's awesome.
So I'm going to take that as a good sign that she wants to list with me. So
absolutely a good sign. Congratulations, man.
All right.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate you.
Thanks for going over, and I apologize if you want to still do. Happy to do another call if you have some free time to actually ask what you planned on asking.
Authentic is always best, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Bye-bye.
Bye.